We gathered here in Paris because the linear plastic economy is gushing pollution galore, choking our ecosystems, warming the climate, damaging our health. And as ever with the triple planetary crisis, that crisis of climate change, the crisis of nature and biodiversity loss, and yes, the crisis of pollution and waste, people in the poorest nations and communities, they suffer the most.
Plastic pollution kills. Plastic pollution kills. Plastic pollution kills. Plastic pollution kills.
It's been a very interesting experience to see how different countries have been hoping to achieve a very ambitious treaty. However, there are some oil producers and also the fossil fuel industry's interference that clearly makes it hard for us to achieve the strong plastics treaty that the world needs right now. We would think that it would be great if we could move on to looking at key solutions instead of falling prey to a lot of distractions and delay tactics from countries that want to perpetuate the plastic crisis.
The overarching principle to the treaty must be sufficiency, which minimizes the demand for energy, materials, land, water, and other natural resources, while delivering well-being for all within planetary boundaries, including the future generations, as rightfully included in the Rio Declaration. The mandate must include a trio of core obligations to significantly minimize plastic production, phase out problematic products and applications, and remove toxins from primary plastics production, including by requiring transparency. Control measures must be binding to ensure an effective treaty and must deliver plastics phase down through regulation, adequate taxation, and scaling up reuse. Waste management provisions must respect the waste hierarchy, planetary boundaries, and informal waste workers, and provide clear technical criteria to exclude polluting processes and uphold environmental justice. Finally, treaty finance must focus on implementation costs and scaling up solutions compatible with the sufficiency principle, including reuse and other genuine solutions that directly minimize plastic production, nurture well-being, and protect our human rights and planetary boundaries.
Plastic pollution is of particular concern to Pakistan, an issue further exacerbated by the unchecked transboundary movement of plastic waste. We would like to particularly mention one incident in the recent past whereby 624 containers of plastic waste, which was contaminated with hazardous waste from a few developed countries that I would not like to mention here, were dumped at the ports of Pakistan with zero accountability. It is a matter of absolute urgency for Pakistan that a plastics treaty is put in place to stop this menace of plastics, particularly its transboundary effects on countries like Pakistan.
If we have any hope of eliminating plastic pollution, we must focus at the top of the waste hierarchy and reduce plastic waste or avoid generating it in the first place. To do this effectively, we must design plastic waste out of the system by focusing plastic production on high-value, reusable and recyclable materials. Over 99% of plastics is derived from fossil fuels that are too often kept cheap by subsidies, which artificially lower the production cost of virgin plastic. We have an opportunity to consider ways that environmentally harmful subsidies, such as fossil fuel subsidies, can be addressed in the instrument. The reform of these subsidies as a fiscal incentive can reduce the supply of and demand for virgin plastic and plastic products.
Since the origins of waste, there have always been waste pickers. The treaty must establish a mechanism to ensure a fair, equitable and inclusive transition of waste pickers. This would include integrating us into all systems of collect, sort, transport and add value to recyclables, and working with us as a partnership in the designing and implementation to add value to recyclables, and working with partners in all levels. It includes establishing fair prices, the environmental services fees, which our organizations are already pioneering in a number of countries. It means improved working conditions, access to materials and infrastructure support, healthcare, social security, as well as legally recognition both in treaty and in our national levels. We must be able to continue our current work in collecting, but also in advance in value change and decision-making processes, as the ILO declares. In the transition to a greener economy, there must be distributive justice. To end plastic pollution, we must place justice at the heart of the treaty, because plastic treaty without waste pickers is rubbish.
We are hoping for a very ambitious treaty that cuts plastic production at the source significantly. We would like to see no false solutions supported in the Global Plastics Treaty. We don't want to see any plastic credits. We don't want to switch from one sort of single use to another, so we don't want bioplastics. We don't want compostable plastics, anything that's going to pollute our earth or our oceans. We don't want to see waste to energy. We don't want to see incineration. And we would like to see investment in Indigenous-led waste prevention schemes, including composting and reuse and refill and repair, at the top of the zero waste hierarchy.
Well, INC, like we have discussed multiple times, is essentially the process through a number of different meetings spread apart. There was no resolution reached as such to the rules of procedure, especially regarding Rule 38.1.
So I know this morning I saw the group of waste pickers from across the globe sitting together in the breakfast room, feeling very proud